May it please the court? Mr. Ashton? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Dr. Vass. Now, you are not a chemist.
Correct.
You're not an analytical chemist.
Correct.
You're not a biochemist.
Correct.
And therefore, you really can't testify as to the chemistry and the makeup of things of which you have no experience, correct?
Well, if I've never looked at something, yeah, I suppose that's true to a certain extent, yes.
Now, on your curriculum vitae, you put down that you got a bachelor's degree in biology,
Yes.
a master's degree in administration of justice,
Yes.
but you do not list what you got your PhD in. Could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you got your PhD in?
Anthropology. Now, that was during the Fry hearings. That was an omission that you pointed out to me that I recognized, and I sent an updated one to Mr. Ashton.
Okay. Now, the report that you issued in this case is labeled a forensic report, is it not?
Yes.
Okay. And on there, you have two co-authors, correct?
Correct.
Madavi Martin,
Dr. Martin, yes.
and she is a physicist.
Yes.
And you list that on your report, that she's a physicist.
Yes.
Mark Weiss,
Dr. Wise, yes.
and he is a analytical chemist.
Yes.
And you put that down, that he's an analytical chemist.
Yes.
And under your name, you put research scientist.
Yes.
You do not put anthropologist.
Correct.
Now, a majority of what you've testified to here today has to deal with chemistry, does it not?
Correct.
And of course, you would defer to Dr. Vass for anything having to do with chemistry.
I am Dr. Vass.
I'm sorry, Dr. Weiss, excuse me.
Well, we consult. I mean, yes.
Yes. And the reason you consult with him is because that's what he studied.
That's his area of expertise, yes.
And when was the last time you took a course in chemistry?
I guess probably during my clinical pathology
You have a year
degree,
for that?
probably in the 80s,
I'm sorry?
during the 1980s perhaps.
During the 1980s. Have you ever held yourself out as a chemist?
I'm sorry, sir.
Have you ever held yourself out as a chemist?
Held myself out. I mean,
Yes.
called myself a
Allowed
chemist?
people to think you were a chemist.
No, I don't think I ever have, no.
Have you ever read a Facebook account that lists you as a biochemist?
Objection, relevance. Sustain.
Have you ever posted a Facebook account saying that you are a biochemist?
I never posted any Facebook accounts on anything.
How about Wikipedia explanation of your background? Have you ever put that you are a biochemist?
I have never submitted anything to Wikipedia on any topic.
Have you ever authorized anyone from the Oak Ridge Laboratories to hold you out as a chemist?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you aware that one has been posted that you are a biochemist?
Relevance. Sustain.
Now, you, sir, have a financial interest in your testimony here today, do you not, sir?
Not in my opinion.
Now, what you've done over the course of your career is you have studied human decomposition through buried remains, have you not?
That's one of the things, yes.
And the two papers of which you rely on your conclusions for this case comprised and built a database.
Correct.
And this database is what you use to render your opinions.
No, I would say that the peer-reviewed publications is what I used to render these opinions.
And that was part of what was comprised of the database, was it not?
Well, the database was used to present the data that was included in those peer-reviewed publications, yes.
How many chemical compounds have you, I guess through your research, developed that discuss, that comprise of this database?
I think I mentioned it was like 478, I believe, something like that.
What you ended up doing with this data, with the research that you did of 2004, was you buried 4 bodies.
Yes, that was the 2004 paper, yes, sir.
And what you did was you set up all of the contraptions that you discussed during your direct testimony.
Yes,
And this allowed you to measure what comes out of the ground from the decomposing body.
it allowed us to measure what was generated at the body interface, what was moving up through the soil column, and what was being liberated at the surface of the soil.
And the very first reading that you got from those buried bodies was 17 days. If you'd like, I can.
No, I understand what you're saying. It took 17 days for the chemicals that are generated at the body to migrate up through the soil column to the surface.
Correct.
Yes, but I mean, chemicals are being generated at the body interface before then.
But it took 17 days to get up to the surface.
Correct.
Now, this database that you have comprised of, you have not turned over to the defense, have you, sir?
You may. Objection overruled. You may proceed.
You refuse to turn this database over to the defense so we can have it independently tested and verified.
It's not mine to turn over.
It's apparently part of the grant that you were given to, is that correct?
It is a deliverable for the organization that paid for that research to be performed. That's correct.
And that has not been turned over to the defense.
I wouldn't know that.
Okay. You have no idea whether that was turned over or not, sir?
Well, I thought that it was turned over because I thought we had a depot just the other day on the database.
You're aware that we were given a list of the chemicals, but not the actual database, correct?
No, I thought you had been given the database.
Okay.
That's why we went to
Now,
wait.
we have discussed that you've used this database and you turned it over to the people who gave you the grant for your studies, correct?
It was a deliverable. That is correct.
Now, part of what you do as a research scientist is you have to apply for and get grants.
Yes.
In fact, without the money, there's no research.
Correct.
And you work for a research lab.
Yes.
And that's different than a forensic lab, isn't that correct?
Yes. Our product is research data.
And as part of your job, you have to bring in sufficient money to maintain your research, do you not?
Yes.
And part of what you are doing currently is you hold a patent for a device called the Labrador.
Incorrect.
Okay. You are an inventor of this Labrador? Partner?
I am listed as an inventor on a patent disclosure, yes.
Okay. And this Labrador utilizes this database.
It actually utilizes the compounds in the 2008 paper.
Yes. So that's a yes?
Partially. I mean, it does not use every compound in this database, no.
Okay. And what your goal is with this Labrador is to sell these units. They are handheld devices that look like a metal detector almost.
Correct.
And these devices, the goal is to sell these to police departments all across the country.
In my position at the National Lab, we are required to file invention disclosures. In this particular grant, which was separate from the development of the database for the chemicals, this was an actual grant from the National Institute of Justice, and it was designed to, the end product of that was an instrument used to aid and augment cadaver dogs to locate clandestine graves.
Did you understand my question, sir?
I'm getting to that.
Interrupting the witness.
Sustain. Finish answering the question, doctor.
And because of that project, a invention was developed. So we dutifully and correctly and filed an invention disclosure with the laboratory based on that instrument. Now it's the laboratory's decision whether or not to file a patent on that. I have no say whatsoever if the laboratory decides to file a patent or not. That's not my decision.
Did you understand my question, sir?
I think I answered your question.
I don't think you did. The goal of this,
Sustain.
the goal of this, sir, is to sell this to police departments all across the country.
No, my goal is not to sell these at all. My goal is to develop them so that an investor, if the patent ever gets awarded, could come in and license that patent, and they could build things. But the goal of the project was to create a technological tool that law enforcement can use to aid in locating clandestine graves.
And before that device can be built and processed and sold, you have to have validation of that database in a court of law, do you not, sir?
Objection. We approach.
Objection sustained.
I do not know that. Oh,
Objection sustained. Next question.
I didn't understand that.
You get royalties as a result if this device is sold and sold basically to police departments, do you not, sir?
I honestly don't understand the technology transfer process very well at the laboratory. I do understand that if a licensee comes in and licenses the patent, if it ever gets awarded, then there is a royalty fee associated with that, but it's relatively insignificant.
So the answer to my question is yes, you do get royalties if this is sold?
Objection. Counsel's rephrasing the answer. Asked and answered.
Sustained as to asked and answered.
Well, it's insignificant depending on how many are sold, correct?
I'm sorry, sir?
The amount of money that you get, sir, depends on how many of these devices are sold.
I do not know if that's true. I think it depends on how much the licensee wants to pay pay for patent rights. That's my understanding. I'm not all that familiar with the technology transfer process.
It's also your understanding that you get 15% of the royalties, do you not,
Split
sir?
between the inventors. That is correct.
And part of the validation of this device would be to have it validated in a court of law.
Objection. Same question.
Sustained.
Now, when you build out for the work you did in this case, you built it to the Labrador project, did you not?
Didn't know it.
You built it to the same funding source that gave you the Labrador funds, did you not?
The work I did in this case?
Yes.
No. This was done voluntarily on my own time.
And this Labrador, when you applied for this patent in 2006, did you not?
That was the first patent disclosure on a prototype that did not end up being the final product.
And that was done in 2006.
That was in 2006, the initial prototype.
Okay. And in your curriculum vitae, you have items that you had submitted patents for subsequent to that, correct?
Correct.
But you didn't disclose that.
Improper impeachment. We could approach, I could explain more.
I'm not impeaching.
You can
but-
approach. Objection sustained. You may
Dr.
continue.
Vass, when you publish an article on a specific topic, you're required as a scientist to give what is called a financial disclosure, are you not?
I don't think that's true.
You're required to explain what your if you have a financial interest or not in the outcome of the study?
I think that's true for certain journals, but I'm not sure it's true for all of them.
Okay. And when you filed your report in this case, did you disclose that you had any financial interest?
I'm sorry, is counsel asking about the report or the article?
He said a report. Doctor, do you understand the question?
No, sir.
Rephrase the question, Mr. Bass.
In your report in this case, did you disclose that you had a financial interest with the database?
My report to the detective and the investigator,
Correct.
no, I did not disclose it.
Okay. Now, the differences between, now I know we touched on this briefly, you work at a research lab, right?
Correct.
And the difference between a research lab and a forensic lab is a research lab does experiments.
Research data is our product.
Okay. And a research lab isn't required to have protocols.
Usually the research labs are the ones that develop the protocols and procedures.
So the answer is correct. Yes, right?
Asked and answered.
Wasn't sure if we got it.
Overruled. You can get clarification.
Can we get clarification? The answer is yes, you're not
Sometimes.
required to have protocols.
Sometimes. It depends on what you're doing.
For the work you did in this case, there are no protocols.
For this particular case, the protocols are published in the 2008 and 2004 peer-reviewed publication.
That's completely different than what you did in this case, though, isn't it, sir?
I do not think so.
The titles of your paper have to do with buried remains.
You're asking about procedure. We use Tedlar bags. We use cryofocusing. We use thermal desorption. We use GCMS. Those procedures were used both in this particular forensic report as well as in the peer-reviewed publications.
Let's see if we can keep it a little simpler, and let me ask you this. There is nothing in writing that tells you what procedure you must do when.
All you have to do is look at the materials and methods section of the peer-reviewed paper.
So there is something in writing that says, first step you do this, second step you do that, the next step you do this.
If you want to replicate an experiment, the procedures and protocols are listed in those publications, yes.
And the publications that you studied have to do with buried remains.
As I mentioned, the buried remains were part of the 2004 study. At the 2008 study, we started looking at surface individuals. We started looking at skeletal material as well.
Another thing that you don't have in research labs are quality control.
It depends on what you mean by quality control.
Quality control to ensure that there's no contamination.
Well, you run blanks, that's a quality control. You run blanks, you run standards. That's all part of quality control.
So it's your testimony that there is quality control that you utilized in this case.
Yes, we ran standards.
And is there anything in writing that you have that shows that proper steps were taken to avoid contamination in this case?
What type of contamination are you referring to?
We're dealing with chemicals, are we not?
Sure.
Volatile chemicals.
Yeah, yes.
And there could be a contamination issue if you have a certain item in a certain location that might be contaminated.
Are you saying the instrument's contaminated or the sample is contaminated?
Either one. Do you have anything in writing for this case of steps you took to prevent any type of contamination?
Well, I think in the bench notes that Dr. Wise wrote, I believe, he wrote down that, blanks one, the machine was calibrated, things of that nature.
We'll go into that in a moment. Anything other than Dr. Weiss's notes?
I don't recall anything, no.
Now, in this case, you did what was called a qualitative analysis versus, well, let me ask you that. You did what was called a qualitative analysis.
That is correct.
And what that means is basically you're identifying certain chemicals
That is correct.
as opposed to a quantitative analysis, which means it tells you how much of these chemicals is there.
Yes, qualitative can also include, hey, this is a big peak, or hey, this is a minute little peak. That can be qualitative as well.
As a scientist, you of course want to be precise,
You'd like to be, yes.
and especially in matters that you deal with, which are certainly very serious matters.
There are occasions where you want to be as precise as possible, yes.
So the research that you testified to in this case for this jury was a qualitative analysis, not a quantitative analysis.
Correct. We were looking to see plus or minus, are these compounds present, are they not present, and then give a rough idea of abundance, which means are they big, are they little, trace, things of that nature, yes.
Now, when you did your analysis in this case, you asked for, well, strike that. Let me go into another area that I'd like to discuss. First off, you issued a report in August as a preliminary report, did you not?
Yes, I typically do that.
And what that basically does is it tells you what you're looking at so far.
Correct.
It's certainly not your final conclusions by any standard.
Correct.
And you were aware, sir, that before you even had your conclusions in this case, it was reported to the media that you had found human decomposition in the trunk of this car.
Objection. Relevance.
Sustain.
Move to strike.
Judge, may we
Granted.
approach?
You can approach. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Dr. Vass, you issued your first preliminary findings on August 26, 2008.
I can't confirm that date, but it probably is correct.
Okay. And on shortly thereafter, within days, if not the same day, it became public, did it not?
I don't know.
Okay.
Apparently.
You were aware of the fact that this was released to the public, this information?
I think I was made aware, but I sure didn't do that.
I'm not saying you did, sir, but it was, correct?
If you say so, yeah.
Do you recall getting an email and having an email exchange with CSI investigator Vincent on the matter?
Well, I think I was upset because of all the media attention. If that's the email you're referring to, yes.
And this is because the media is already talking about your results before you even finish the experiment.
Relevance. Same objection is sustained.
Sustain, rephrase the question
Yes,
as
sir.
we discussed it at the bench.
Yes, sir. It's your understanding that your conclusions were already being discussed without you even finishing your work.
I think that's correct, yes.
Okay. And that's quite a bit of pressure, is it not, sir?
I was not pleased with it.
That people know what you're going to say before you even say it?
Objection assumes facts that are not in evidence.
Sustain as to
Move to
that
strike.
question. Motion to strike granted.
Now, I'd like to start off, if you have your first preliminary report with you. Do you have that with you, sir?
No, I do not.
Okay. How many chemicals did you say you found from the carpet sample?
I don't have the report in front of me. I think 54 was the number at that point in time.
Correct. That's correct. Now, in your second report, how many chemicals did you list that you had?
I do not recall. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry.
Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you both reports? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach the witness?
You may approach.
Okay. Yeah. Is that my second?
Could I look over the shoulders?
Sure, let me just find the.
Okay. Thank you.
So in preliminary report number one, you had 54 chemicals.
Yes.
And in preliminary report number two, you reported 51 chemicals.
Correct.
But these were of the same run, were they not?
Yes, the reason for that is because evaluating those chemicals, we realized there was some overlap with gasoline. Not every compound has, a number of compounds have more than one name, like 2-propanone is also known as acetone, for instance. Methylbenzene is also called toluene. So as we went through those chemicals, if I recall correctly, we eliminated some of those duplications that were missed in the preliminary report.
What you had was, on report number one, you found out of the 54, 43 were consistent with a decompositional
What's
event.
the date of report number one? So we'll.
Yes, sir. August 26, 2008. You found that there were 43 consistent with decompositional event, right?
Again, if they were duplicated, yes, that would make sense.
And when you found 51 in the second one, you found that 41 were consistent with a decompositional event.
Okay.
And then basically after that, you found on the first report, only 19 of these overlapped with gasoline constituents.
Okay.
And in your second report, you put 17 overlapped with gasoline constituents.
Okay.
Now, these all came up with you ended up coming up with the same exact percentage, did you not?
I do not recall.
Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you both reports?
It's possible, yes. But again, the conclusions of the final report were not based on these numbers, of course.
I realize that, but these are the chemicals. Even though it's the same exact run, you're giving different figures, are you not, sir?
Again, I have to literally go through every one of those chemicals and determine whether or not we had duplicate names, whether we used the gasoline components twice, things of that nature. I would consider the final report being the most accurate in terms of numbers like that.
Now, in your second report, you listed that you went to the junkyard and got 3 Pontiac Sunfires, did you not?
Correct, that was corrected to 2 in the final report.
Right. So let's see we're clear. What you wanted to do is you wanted to get these cars from the junkyard to compare them to this car.
Yes, we intentionally chose the worst possible urban-like contaminated area that we could as a comparison.
Now, you use these 2 cars as a real-world example of what I guess a standard trunk would be like.
Yes, we considered a new carpet to be an unfair comparison.
Now, in your report, you put 3 Pontiac Sunfires.
Yes, I think that initial error was because we took 2 samples out of 1 car, and I just mistakenly put down 3 instead of 2.
Then you made a correction and you did an affidavit. It's not really 3 cars, it's 2 cars.
That's correct.
As you're doing all these things, you take notes, do you not?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I do not.
And have you reviewed the bench notes in this case?
You mean the ones that Dr. Wise made in his analysis of the material?
Both the ones that Dr. Weiss and you made, sir.
I did not review his bench notes, no.
Did you look at how many cars were actually selected?
Objection. Counsel's attempting reference to Dr. Wise's notes. That would be hearsay.
Are you utilizing Dr. Wise's bench notes?
Sir, I believe this witness has testified as to the findings of Dr. Weiss.
Nope. Are you utilizing Dr. Wise's bench notes to impeach him?
Not to impeach him, sir, no.
Objection sustained.
Are you aware, sir, that there were actually 3 cars selected?
No,
Asked and answered, sir.
Overrule, I'll let him answer it one more time.
2 cars.
And you wouldn't happen to know the results of the 3rd sample, would you, sir?
Objection. Asked and answered assumes facts, not in evidence.
Sustained.
Now, you don't know the history of these cars that were at the junkyard,
Correct.
and you don't know the history of the car in Florida.
Correct.
So a lot of what you are testifying about is just a comparative analysis of what you found at the junkyard and what you got from Florida.
Correct.
And one of those cars, or one of the 2 cars that you testified about, had chloroform in the trunk.
Trace amounts, correct.
And what you did in that situation was also a qualitative analysis, not a quantitative analysis.
Correct. Qualitative, but we did take an area under the peak to get a rough idea of the difference.
Now, you've never done studies on what's in carpet.
No, have not.
In fact, you have absolutely no experience as to what the chemical breakdown is of carpet.
Correct.
And you talked about the odors of a rose in your direct testimony.
Okay, yes.
Is that a yes?
I didn't quite hear the question, I'm sorry.
My question was, you testified about the odor of a rose,
I used that as an example, yes.
and you don't know the chemical breakdowns of what consists of what chemicals come from a rose,
No, it's just used as an example.
or garbage.
Correct. I mean, it depends on what's in the garbage.
And in fact, there are a whole array of items that are involved in this case that you have absolutely no experience in as it relates to the chemical breakdown of these items.
Objection to the nature of the question without specifying the items. A whole array of items is very vague.
Sustain, rephrase the question.
Yes, sir. You were given a list of the items that were found in the trash, were you not, sir?
That is correct.
And in fact, you didn't actually see these items, you were just given a list of them?
Correct.
And you do not know the chemical breakdown of each individual item, do you, sir?
From what I don't have the list in front of me, I apologize, but what I recall is they were just empty plastic containers or perhaps an empty Coke can or Sprite bottle, something of that nature. I'm sorry, I just don't have the list in front of me.
But you can't testify as to what was in that garbage because you never witnessed it, did you, sir?
No, I did not.
And you don't know what the chemical breakdown of each of these items are.
No, but we did sample the air of the composite of all these.
And those samples were taken in August of 2008, were they not, sir?
I don't recall the actual date, but it's quite possible.
If I can have a moment, Judge, I'd like to.
You may.
August 30th of 2008 is, and I'm referring to State's Evidence 122, which you admitted into evidence. That was taken on August 30th, correct?
Okay. I would agree with that.
Okay. Would you like to see him, sir?
No, I trust you on that.
This was not taken on July 15th, 2008, was it? These samples.
No, you just said it wasn't.
And of course, you know that air is a free-flowing environment, do you not, sir?
Absolutely.
And that the chemical composition could change from moment to moment.
Absolutely.
But yet, you did your comparisons from air that was done a month and a half later, did you not?
Are we talking about garage air samples?
Yes.
Yes.
And you don't know what was done to that garbage between July 15th to August 30th.
I do not know that, no.
Now, what you did was you broke down a comparison and you did a table in your final report, did you not, sir?
Yes, it was very complicated, unfortunately.
And you used these samples to reach your conclusions, did you not?
That is correct.
And do you have that table in front of you, sir?
I do indeed.
Now, you used sample State's Exhibit 117, State's Evidence 117, which is the air sample from the trash found inside the vehicle. That's on your table.
If you're referring to column 3, that is correct, in that table.
Could counsel designate for the benefit of counsel which table he's talking about in the report?
Table 1.
Thank you.
You used State's Exhibit 116, I'm sorry, State's Evidence 116, which is the air sample from the passenger area of the car.
All right, hold on just 1 second.
I believe that would be the one that says Florida Vehicle Interior.
That's the 4th column.
Yes.
Correct, yes.
So use this one too.
Could I look at counsel? I'm having trouble finding what counsel's referring to. Oh, this is the
Yeah,
table
yeah, that's the-
appended to the report. Thank you. I thought it was.
States Exhibit 115, which is also an air sample from the passenger area of the car.
Okay.
States Evidence 122, which is air samples from the garage of the forensics bay.
Okay.
You considered States Evidence 121, which is air, I guess this is a trip blank.
Yes, I did trip blank as well.
States Evidence 120, which is an air sample from the garage. States Evidence 119, which is an air sample from inside the trash.
Okay.
But you did not, sir, use States Evidence 118, which is the air sample from the trunk of the car on your table.
I did not. In my table, no.
Yes.
But
fact-
I did mention it in the report.
It's not what you used to reach your conclusions, did it, sir?
No, because the complete liner had been removed, and we were simply looking at what was present when, what was present after everything had been removed. It was not a valid comparison.
But you were willing to use air from everywhere else except the trunk of that car to include it on your table for your opinions.
Okay, but you have to understand that when you collect a triple sorbent trap, and in this case, Investigator Vincent collected about an hour's worth. That converts to approximately 30 to 40 liters of air that were collected and concentrated on the triple sorbent trap. That was compared to 10 mils of air off the trunk liner. If you look at the table, I know it's complicated, but it indicates that without doubt, the point source of the odor was the trunk. Now, we did do an analysis using a TST of the trunk, indicating that trace amounts or small amounts of sulfur compounds and chloroform were still detectable in the trunk, even though the liner had been completely removed. I do not consider that a valid comparison.
You don't consider the air in the trunk of the car valid?
Not
Because
after
the
the
liner
liner had
was
been
removed.
removed. I didn't say it's not valid, it's just not a valid comparison.
Now, Dr. Vass, let's break this down a little bit further for us. Out of the 17, you found 7 to be relevant to your 30 main compounds.
With the aforementioned caveats, yes.
And because of some overlap, or because of trace levels, you only considered 5.
That is true. We were very, very conservative.
And out of those 5, there was overlap with 2 of them, were there not?
I'm not sure I understand that. What that is.
Out of the 5 chemicals, there was overlap with some of the other chemicals found in your table that could be accounted for something else, and it only broke down to 3.
Well, again, I mean, in most cases, what I would call is that they're in trace amounts.
But there are 3, correct, that did not overlap out of your list of 30.
I'm not quite sure I would completely agree with what you're saying. You have to look at the chemical composition of each particular sample. And as I mentioned before, you know, it can be occasionally compounds present that overlap with other things. So I wouldn't simply eliminate a compound because it's in minute trace amounts, especially if it was found after you collected 30 liters of air compared to 10 mils of air.
But there is overlap from other items.
Well, with the caveats I just mentioned, yes, there's a little overlap.
And the only thing that does not have overlap are 3 chemicals.
Again, with the caveats I mentioned.
So 3 chemicals out of the 30 that you consider significant in human decomposition.
I think that's an unfair statement because we're talking about quantities of material. I mean, there's a process called diffusion where things go from high concentration to low concentration. If the trash was in the car and the trunk liner was emanating high concentrations, it's very possible that a small amount of material adhered to some of the trash. And when we collected 30-odd liters of that and detected a trace amount, we detected that and undutifully reported it on this report. So I don't think that is an accurate depiction of what we actually came to the conclusion with.
And you would rather go with the 5?
Actually, I'd go with about 8, to be perfectly honest with you. But in my conclusions, we did describe 5, yes.
In your 2008 paper,
Yeah.
you gave a table of 30 chemicals
Yeah.
that are significant in human decomposition.
Again, with the caveats that some are aerobic, some are anaerobic, some in early decomposition, some in late decomposition.
So that's correct, right?
That's correct.
This list of 30?
Yes.
Okay, and that's representative of this.
Correct.
And out of what we've got here, excluding overlap, because you can't account for it, can you?
Again,
You don't know the history of these
Objection.
cars.
May the witness be allowed to answer the question?
Yes, sir, did you finish answering the question?
I can't recall. I'm sorry.
I'll read back the prior questions, the witness can answer it, please.
I'll withdraw the question that was raised.
Your Honor, I would ask the reporter to read back the questions the witness started to answer so that he can finish his answer.
Madam Court Reporter, please read back the last question.
Would be the one that precedes the well on the list.
And out of what we've got here, excluding overlap, because you can't account for it, can you?
You cannot account for it, but you can make an assumption based on properties of diffusion as well as the quantities of air that have been compared.
And assumptions aren't exactly scientific, are they, Dr. Voss?
Sometimes they are relevant in a conclusion.
Assumptions are sometimes relevant in conclusions?
Sure. Common sense included in that.
This 30 constitutes the main breakdowns from the 478, isn't that correct?
What we consider the significant ones, yes.
Okay. Now I'd like to talk about the second area that you testified, which was the LIBS, the laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy. You are not a physicist.
Correct.
And the compounds that come up with this, can you identify those 4 compounds again that were found?
In the LIBS analysis?
Yes, the LIBS analysis.
Can I confirm my report?
Yes,
Can I just be
yes,
sure?
absolutely.
It was calcium, magnesium, sodium, carbon, and iron.
And these items are found in numerous items in the environment, are they not, sir?
Absolutely.
And they are also found in common trash, are they not?
I don't know that.
Okay. And that's because you're not a physicist,
No, it's because I haven't done it. Inorganic analysis of common trash.
and you're not a chemist, correct?
Okay, I'm not a chemist, yes.
Yeah. You made a comparison for this jury saying that this car from the junkyard, the levels of these items are much lower than the ones in Florida.
Correct.
Okay. But you don't know how long that car was in the junkyard.
Absolutely do not know.
Could have been there years.
Could have been.
soaking up all of the natural environments.
You mean the junkyard car?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that cool that they were less than what was in the Florida car?
Could have gone through winter.
Absolutely.
Snows up in Tennessee, does it? Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Could have gone through summers,
Summers?
and you don't know how many.
No, sir.
And you compared that, only 2 cars, to this car in Florida, for which you also have no idea of the history in that car.
Correct. We considered that the worst case scenario that in a urban environment, in a junkyard, you would have oils and greases and cleaning products perhaps, and maybe blood from car wrecks, all these things that potentially could have contaminated the trunks of these cars. That is correct.
But you didn't even collect those samples, did you, sir?
The junkyard samples?
Yes.
I did not collect those, no.
So you don't know if these are trunks that have the trunk lid missing?
Oh, in most cases in this junkyard, the trunk lid was not missing, but open. Because obviously people want to come and take pieces off of cars in a junkyard, so you don't want to have anything locked up.
Is that an assumption, sir, or is that a fact?
That's what I was told from the person who collected this.
You were told that these were with the trunk open.
Unlocked. And I believe open, yes.
And you compared that to a car that had trash in the trunk for 3 weeks in the hot Florida sun.
Objection assumes a fact which is not in evidence.
Sustained. This would be a good time to take our afternoon recess. We'll take a recess to 10 minutes past the hour of 3.
All rise for the jury.
Okay, state recognized persons of the jury
Yes, sir.
and the defense.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, you may continue.
Dr. Voss, before I go further into the lids, while we were talking about the carpet sample, it came to your attention that the entire trunk was sprayed with a chemical called Blue Star, did it not?
Yes.
And Blue Star is an item similar to luminol,
I believe so, yes.
and it's used to detect blood with an alternating light source.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And you had requested that you do a control by spraying the carpet with Blue Star, did you not?
I don't recall doing that, no.
If I could have just a moment, Judge.
You may.
The spraying of a carpet sample with Blue Star was never done.
Yeah, well, it was in the trunk of the car, apparently.
My question to you, sir, is the spraying and running a sample to see the effects of Blue Star as to these chemicals was never done.
I did not do that, no.
Okay. Instead, somebody went to a website and printed out the ingredients.
The material safety data sheets.
Yes. And that's all that was done. There was nothing further to see how that would have influenced your findings.
No, when a chemist looked at that MSDS sheet and said the chemicals present could not have contributed to the chemicals that we found relevant, I didn't pursue it any further.
Nothing further was done.
Not by me, no.
And you're aware that the entire trunk was also sprayed with Febreze, were you not?
Yes.
Okay. And you did no studies to see how those chemicals interacted with your findings?
No, but we did look up an MSDS sheet of Febreze, and that's essentially fragrances and a little bit of ethanol.
And you don't know what effects those chemicals would have with the chemicals that were already found in the trunk of the car, do you, sir?
You mean interactions between it?
Correct.
I do not, but I don't envision any, no.
Okay. And again, you are not a chemist, so these are things that are a little bit outside of your area.
Okay.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while we're looking for that, I'd like to talk to you about the lids again. With the court's permission, I'd like to have you write down the findings of the chemicals that are found in the lips. May the witness stand out here?
Would object. He's already expressed them twice. Counsel can write them.
I can write them down, that's fine.
Okay.
Calcium?
Yes. I'm going to refer my report one more time.
If I butcher the spellings, let me know.
Calcium, yes, and sodium.
What else?
Sodium,
I'm sorry?
Sodium.
Sodium.
magnesium. Close enough.
Just leave it there.
Iron, and carbon.
Carbon. Dr. Voss, how many of these chemicals would you get if you picked up a piece of soil from the ground and tested it in a GCMS?
I'm sure small amounts of every one of those might be present.
And again, what was done was a qualitative analysis, not a quantitative analysis.
Correct.
Now, I'd like to shift focus to the paper towels. These had different, what you called fatty acids.
Correct.
And sir, these fatty acids included palmitic acid,
Correct.
as well as stearic acid,
Yes.
oleic,
Oleic. Good try.
and myristic.
Myristic, yes.
Myristic.
And palmitoleic.
What's the other one, I'm sorry?
Palmitoleic. Let me look at my report if I can.
Sure.
Do you know what page it was on? Let's see, hold on.
Would be on your final report, page 7.
Oh, page 7.
Second paragraph under paper towels. I don't see that one there.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences up from the bottom in that paragraph. Near the end, palmitoleic. Fourth up from, the one that starts with fatty acids. The third
Oh.
paragraph in that section.
Third.
Fourth sentence up from the bottom near the end.
I see.
You got it?
Okay, I see. I'm sorry. Now, sir, you mentioned in your report that these are fatty acids that are like adipocere.
Yes.
Okay. You don't say adipocere, you say like adipocere.
Okay, just semantics.
Okay. Now, you of course know that adipocere is normally found in wet, marshy conditions.
If fats are present, wet conditions are one factor that can contribute to its formation.
And of course, you know that it takes weeks to months to develop adipocere, do you not, sir?
It takes weeks to months to develop morphological appearance of adipocere. It takes just a few days for the lipases to break down the fat.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What's interesting about adipose tissue, it's made up of triglycerides. Tri, of course, 3, so 3 fatty acids are hooked to glycerol. And the fatty acids could be any one of those, of course, and it depends on the number of carbons in that chain. Stearic, for instance, has 18 carbons in it. Myristic has 14 carbons in it. Palmitic has 16 carbons in it. The unsaturated, which means has a double bond, include the palmitoleic and oleic acids. And so lipases, those are enzymes that break down lipids, then release these particular fatty acids in adipose tissue.
These were found on a paper towel that was found in the trash. Correct?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I believe it's in the trash, yes.
And you could find also these items in a hamburger.
I don't know if that's true. First of all, the hamburger would have to be completely raw. You'd have to have a huge percentage of fat in it.
You could also find this in chicken.
I do not know if that's true or not.
Okay. And is that because you are, again, not a chemist?
No, I haven't looked at the fat on chicken before.
Okay. And you've never studied that. You don't know what other logical explanations there could be to find these on a paper towel, do you, sir?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
You have never studied whether you could find this in chicken or hamburgers or any other meat products because, of course, you've never studied that.
The formation of adipocere is favored by several.
Now, I'm not talking about adipose here, sir.
To the interrupting the witness.
Stein, finish answering the question, Doctor.
The formation of adipocere is favored by a number of issues. One is an anaerobic environment. One is an alkaline pH environment. One is a temperature between 22 and 40 degrees Celsius. And one is a dry to saturated moisture level area. So those things really need to be in conjunction for adipocere to form.
Sir, I wasn't asking you about adipocere. I asked you if these chemicals, can you find them also in meat products?
I do not know the answer to that.
And that's because, of course, that's not an area of your expertise.
Well, I believe, personally, I would think that yes, in mammals, that would be true.
Okay. Now, there's another item or chemical that you found on these paper towels that you did not testify to the jury during your direct examination. Do you recall what those are?
No.
Do you recall finding small amounts of THC and cannabinol?
Oh, yes, okay.
What is that, sir?
Those are just byproducts of marijuana, metabolites of marijuana.
So you found products that could be found in meat and also products that could be found in marijuana on these paper towels.
Correct?
Now, is it still your testimony that this could be adipocere or could it be someone with the munchies?
Again, in order for these products to form under the definition of adipocere, the meat would have to be raw. You'd have to have loaded with bacteria like Clostridium, because that bacteria would produce the enzymes that would break the triglycerides down. You'd have to have an anaerobic condition, so if you were eating a piece of hamburger, it'd have to be raw and with a bag over your head. And you'd have to have a significant volume of material to create a stain like what we noticed in the trunk of the car. So we're talking several pounds of meat, if that was.
Do you know if people use paper towels to clean up raw meat when cooking?
Yeah, I have. How can I possibly testify to that?
Okay. Now, how did the marijuana get there? Is that a byproduct of decomposition as well? Marijuana?
No. It was just we tried to be as thorough in our reporting as possible.
Now, you mentioned that you have protocols when utilizing this database. And these protocols, the only times that you've used this database are in 2 cases, correct?
I think you'll have to clarify before I can answer that.
Do you recall attempting to find hidden graves at the Barker Ranch in California?
Relevance may reproach.
You may. Okay, members of the jury, there's going to be a brief matter we need to take up outside of your presence. I will get back with you as soon as I can. Okay, Mr. Baez, you may proceed with your proffer.
Yes, sir. Dr. Vass, in 2008, March of 2008, you were asked to analyze some soil samples for the Barker Ranch. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what happened was you were sent these soil samples
Correct.
and they were analyzed using a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer.
Yes.
And what your initial findings were that they were consistent with a decompositional event.
Yes.
And subsequent to that, you went back and you actually went on a trip to the actual site.
Correct.
At that location, you used several instruments in the locations that were identified by cadaver dogs.
That's true, yes.
And including the GCMS, you also used a magnetometer.
I personally did not, but a magnetometer and a ground penetrating radar device was utilized, yes.
That, in conjunction with your findings, an excavation ensued.
A exploratory excavation ensued. That is correct.
And you dug and did not find any bodies at the location that you dug.
At the depth we dug, we did not find anything, but the caveat there is at the depth we dug, we just got to the surface of the original ground from 40 years ago. These bodies were 40, 50 years buried. So there's been a lot of flash flooding, there's been a lot of movement of earth, and the depth we dug, we just got to the surface of that particular site, if you will.
And subsequent to that dig, it was your conclusion that this science is at its infancy stage, is it not? Was that not your statement?
My statement was that we didn't understand the environmental parameters well enough. I think the chemistry is well established.
But your statement, sir, was that this science was at its infancy stage.
Objection. Counsel state that time, place, and person is present of this prior statement.
Mr. Baez?
Did you make that statement, sir?
Objection. We need to know time, place, and persons present.
Rephrase your question.
Yes. Did you make that statement, sir, to a member of the media while granting an interview that the science of which you employed was at its infancy stage?
Same objection.
Sustain. Unless you put the proper parameters, date, time, and place.
The only time that you have used this specific science with the database to actually find a body was the Barker Ranch, correct?
No.
And when you were not successful, what are your error rates for coming up with bodies after a analysis is done on the GCMS?
You can't use error rates for such a determination. Error rates are a measurement of an error associated with a measurement, like taking a ruler, is it really 2 inches or 2.1 inches or 1.9 inch? That does not apply because in the 2007-2008 timeframe, as I previously explained earlier, we did not fully understand environmental parameters associated with this type of a search. So we're talking about high barometric pressure. You know, if we did a search during that time period, we wouldn't have seen any chemicals in the surface.
I have no further questions, Judge, as to the proffer.
State?
One last question, sir. Did you, sir, on May 22nd, 2008, give a statement to the Associated Press that we're trying to improve the science, it's in its infancy. There could be additional people out there, but unless there are leaps in this kind of science, we'll never know.
I cannot verify I said that. I mean, I don't know what the initial question from the reporter may have been. It may be taken out of context. I do not know. I could be referring to environmental conditions. I can't verify that.
Did you make the statement, I haven't been this frustrated in a very long time?
And it sounds like something I'd say. Digging holes is not fun.
Okay. I have no further questions.
You want your stuff back, Mr. Bias? I thought you said you were done.
For his proper.
Cross.
You have any cross-examination for the proper?
Yeah, I do.
Proper, I'm sorry.
The limitation in the depth that you were permitted to dig why was that limitation placed on you?
Primarily time constraints, as well as just simply an exploratory dig. It was not a full excavation, just to see essentially what we could find. I mean, you know, are there any indications that a burial situation had occurred at those locations?
Would it be fair to say that at this point, nobody knows if there's actually a body down there or not?
That is a fair statement.
So the record to be abundantly clear, the Barker Ranch is a ranch where Charles Manson murdered and buried some people. Is that not correct, Doctor?
That is correct, sir.
These murders, if you can recall, occurred when?
40, 50 years ago. It really has no bearing on this particular case at all.
Okay. Anything else, folks?
Nothing further.
Okay. The questions dealing with the Barker Ranch will be, objection will be sustained. As I indicated, if you want to talk to him about cross-contamination with garbage in the trunk of the car versus the alleged odor of decompensation, you can. But the Barker Ranch and what was done there has no bearing on this particular case. It's irrelevant and immaterial. The conditions are totally different.
Yes, sir.
Environmental conditions, unless it can be shown that they have some bearing or relationship to this particular case. Okay, anything else? Anybody need to take a break before we return this jury?
Jane? I guess he's all right. We're good,
All
sir.
right. Let's return to jury. Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Voss, we're going to switch away from the fatty acids and marijuana, and I'd like to ask you a little bit about protocols. Now, part of protocols would also include specific instructions for the proper collection of these samples, correct?
Could, yes.
And in fact, you have had protocols when collecting samples that would advise people or those collecting the samples to avoid storing the sample vials in an area that's contaminated with organic vapors such as gasoline.
Depending on the circumstances, that's of course true.
So as part of your protocols, you have told individuals not to collect or not to try and contaminate these samples with areas that are near gasoline.
Well, that's common sense, yes.
And you're aware that in this case, the samples were collected in an area that contained gasoline.
Well, yes. I mean, that's where the evidence was.
Now, part of another part of your protocols is to collect that the collection samples should be free of trash, debris, and obvious sources of chemicals that could result in false positive readings. Examples of trash or debris that would create false readings are...
Objection, counsel, reading a document that's not in evidence.
I'm asking him a question, Judge.
He's still reading a document that's not in evidence.
Overrule at this point.
Examples of trash or debris that could create false readings include aerosol cans, gas cans, propane bottles, or any other man-made container or trash that might emit volatile organic compounds or be responsible for releasing organic compounds into the soil. Even a spilled soft drink can introduce flavorings and other chemicals into the soil that could produce false readings.
What was the question?
Those are your protocols that you have given
Yes,
in collection of these types of samples.
yes, but you can't take it out of context. From what I recall, we wrote those protocols in response to an investigator who wanted to collect environmental samples in a very large area, an open field type of an area. Obviously, you don't want to collect a control sample where there's a pile of trash in a 40-acre field. That just wouldn't make a lot of sense. So you have to take that statement into context.
You don't want samples collected near trash because it could create false positive readings. Is that correct?
Unless the trash is part of a crime scene.
You don't make that distinction, though, in your protocols, do you, sir?
Well, again, we were talking, if I remember correctly, we were talking about collecting outdoor soil samples in a very large area, and the question came up, where should I collect a control sample? And these are conditions that made, common sense.
Because you don't want them collecting these samples near any gasoline or trash.
Well, it just wouldn't make sense if you're in a 40-acre field.
Especially because they could create false readings. And that's true, sir.
Sure. I mean, as long as it's not part of a particular crime scene, which is part what you need to collect as evidence.
And I'd like to talk to you about another topic, sir. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what divining rods are?
Objection, relevance,
You may. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Voss, you had testified under direct examination about your ability to find clandestine graves.
Your Honor, is counsel withdrawing the first question that I objected to?
Just putting it into context, Judge.
I don't think so.
Do you know what divining rods are, sir?
Yes.
And could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what divining rods are?
Divining rods are antenna used to locate specific properties of specific materials.
And can a divining rod be made of a coat hanger from a dry cleaner?
Sure, as long as it's the right material, yes.
And have you taught on this subject to use coat hangers to find hidden graves?
Absolutely, it's a hobby of mine, just like stamp collecting, coin collecting, and it teaches wonderful scientific principles.
And sir, were you offered $1 million to prove this theory of yours?
Sustain as to that question.
Have you been challenged in any way as to the credibility of this theory of yours?
Relevance, move to strike.
Sustain.
Move to strike.
Let's move on.
Sir.
Mr. Baez, get to the points I said you could
Yes, sir.
get to.
Now, you also have attempted to put electronic leashes on flies, have you not, sir?
Relevance,
Sustain.
move to strike. Pardon me.
Granted.
Strike.
Sir, the testimony that you've given here today is the first time that you have given this type of testimony in a court of law. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
In fact, it has never been admitted in any court across the country. Is that correct?
Objection, relevance, move to strike.
Overruled.
Is that correct, sir?
I wouldn't know that.
You have no idea, sir, that this is the first time your database has been admitted in the court of law.
Well, I don't know if anybody else has another database, perhaps. I don't know that.
Now, you know that your findings are not generally accepted in the scientific community, do you not?
Objection,
Sustain.
to strike.
Granted.
Are there any other papers or studies that have the same findings as you do, sir?
There is a paper by Dr. Stathopoulos who looked at whole bodies, and of the 5 primary chemicals that we used to make a conclusion in this case, he also identified 4 of those in his study. He did not find chloroform.
Okay. And Mr. Stapolopoulos is, Strathanopoulos?
Stathopoulos, I believe.
Staphopoulos. Mr. The gentleman you referred to, he is located in Greece,
Correct.
and in the entire world, the only person that you think agrees with your findings is this gentleman in Greece.
Objection, relevance to the question of who agrees.
Sustain.
I'll rephrase it, Judge. The only other study that you find are similar to your findings is a gentleman in Greece whose name I can't pronounce.
I think he's the only one that actually used entire bodies. I mean, there are a number of people that use pieces of tissue, but I wouldn't consider that comparable.
And he has a completely different database other than your 478.
Absolutely. He was looking at a single time point. We were looking at a 5-year study, a 4 to 5 year study.
If I can have just one moment. Now, sir, you testified under direct examination that the smell of human decomposition is unique.
To me, it is, yes.
This is the portion where Mr. Ashton wanted to step away from the science. Do you recall that question?
Not exactly, but
Okay. He asked you what your opinion was, and you said the smell of human decomposition is unique.
yes.
Do you recall making a statement, sir, to the Knoxville News on December 14th, 2008, that the smell of human decomposition smells like a potato gone bad, that it is sickly sweet, it doesn't smell like a swamp or a rotten egg smell. If you ever had a potato go bad in your cupboard, that's a horrendous smell. That's very similar to human decomposition. It's amazingly similar.
I believe I made that statement, yes.
So it's specifically unique to a potato.
Yeah, but we actually looked at a decomposing potato, and the chemical composition is completely different.
If I can have just one moment, Judge. Now, sir, one of the key markers of decomposition, of human decomposition that you have found is that fluoride is one of those chemical signatures, is it not?
A halogenated fluoride compounds are, yes.
And in this case, you did not find any fluoride.
That is correct. Neither did we in the positive control.
And the positive control that you got, that you've based this entire finding on,
Objection, counsel's statement, basing the entire finding on, that's not an evidence.
Sustain, rephrase the question.
yes, sir. The positive control, so we could let the ladies and gentlemen of the jury know, is you got a blanket from a body that was of a child in the trunk of a car for 3 months.
That is correct.
Okay. But you don't know the circumstances surrounding when it was recovered,
Correct.
how it was stored,
Correct.
or any of the circumstances surrounding the death of that specific homicide.
That is correct, but nevertheless, we saw the 3 primary sulfur compounds, and the point of that was control was to verify that compounds such as the ones we found in the Florida trunk could be formed in the trunk of a car.
And of the 30 key markers, the 3 ones are the main ones that you found to be relevant in this case.
Again, I think you're twisting things around a tad. I mean, again, we're looking at 30 compounds. If you eliminate the gasoline overlaps, if you eliminate the fluoride compounds, which, again, were not seen in the positive control, and I have an opinion of why that may be, and then if you eliminate those compounds that are only seen late in decomposition, that leaves 10 compounds out of 30 that we considered relevant. And of those 10, 8 were found in the trunk of the car. That's about 80%.
But this entire experiment that you conducted in this case is completely from items of which you have not collected, correct?
Well, I didn't collect the trunk carpet sample. That is correct.
Or the air samples,
Correct.
or the blanket sample,
Correct.
or the samples at the junkyard.
Correct.
And not only did you not collect any of these items, you have no idea of their history or makeup.
Well, we did a chemical analysis. I know the makeup.
The history and the makeup of those specific items.
Well, I don't know the history, no.
You have no idea what chemicals they may have encountered.
Objection to the compound question of they without specifying.
Sustain, rephrase the question.
You have no idea what was in the trunk of this car for the Pontiac Sunfire in the 10 years that it was in existence, correct?
Are you referring to the Florida or the junkyard?
The Florida Pontiac Sunfire.
No, I do not.
And you don't have any idea of what the chemical makeup was of any of the junkyard samples that you collected.
No, we analyzed the junkyard samples, and we know what gases are liberated. Is that your question?
You don't know the history of those cars.
That's correct. I do not. I've stated that.
And you also don't know the history of the car from the Montana sample.
That is correct. I do not.
And you never even collected a carpet sample from that car.
No, the child in that case was wrapped in a blanket. The blanket is what was stained. And again, granted, it's not a perfect positive control, I mean, thank goodness I don't find all these children in trunks. of
Objection,
cars.
Judge. I'm going to move to strike that answer.
Overruled.
Sir, you don't know the history of that sample.
Correct.
And you also never collected a carpet sample from that car.
No.
And this is the very first time you have ever conducted an experiment on a carpet sample.
That's the wonderful thing about forensic science is every sample is unique.
So is the answer yes, this is the first time?
That is correct.
If I can have just one moment, Judge. Sir, you're not a member of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences, are you, sir?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
You're not, yes, sir.
No, not currently.
And in fact, you're not a member of the, is it the American Board of Anthropology?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
No.
And you are not a member of any professional organizations that would govern its members, are you, sir?
No, and my background is so diverse, I wouldn't even know which one to possibly join.
Because, of course, your ideas are so unique.
I'm being paid to be creative and think outside the box. I don't even know what the box is.
And you would, of course, consider yourself more of an explorer than a scientist, wouldn't you, sir?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
I have no further questions at this time.
Redirect.
Which would you say has governed your professional career more? Scientific curiosity or financial benefit?
Overruled.
Obviously, scientific curiosity. I'm a very curious person.
Though you indicated you are not an analytical chemist, the past 20 years of your career in forensic anthropology, has that centered around the biochemistry and the chemistry of decomposition?
Yes.
Do you feel you have a financial interest in this case?
Not at all.
When you were asked, you remember when your deposition was taken in this case by Mr. Baez?
The Inquisition, you mean?
Deposition.
Yeah.
That was back. Back on September 22nd, 2010.
Yes.
You remember you were asked questions about this, the patent issues and the royalty issues and all of those things?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Did you have to refer to someone else to get the answers to those things?
Absolutely, yes. I had no clue of the actual procedures that I needed at that point in time, no.
So you didn't even know how it worked or what royalties may or may not come? You had no idea at the time of that deposition?
Well, one, it never interested me.
Okay. But after the deposition, did you have to go and ask people to educate you on that so you could answer these questions here today about it?
Yes, I did, actually.
In seeking out a control sample of carpet, did you deliberately try to find the most contaminated carpet you could?
Yes.
And that's why you went to a junkyard?
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Was getting a contaminated sample part of the reason you went to a junkyard?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the beginning.
Was
of that.
getting a contaminated sample part of the reason you asked them to go to a junkyard?
Absolutely.
Now, you talked a little bit about diffusion, and I want you to explain to the jury what you mean about odor diffusion.
Diffusion is a process where chemicals go from higher concentrations to lower concentrations. If you have a piece of plastic over here that has part per trillion levels of compound X, and you have a piece of plastic over here that has a compound X in it, but at parts per million levels, this sample could never contaminate that one with that compound because it diffuses from higher concentration to lower concentration.
And is that the significance of finding the point source of the odor?
Absolutely.
And in this case, what was the item that had the highest concentration of all of these important chemicals we've discussed?
That carpet, spare tire carpet cover sample.
Now, you were asked about two products that may have been sprayed in this trunk. One was Blue Star, the other was Febreze. Did you look up the material safety data sheets on both of those products?
No, I think the MSDS for the Blue Star was sent to me by Michael Vincent.
All right.
And I actually did look up the Febreze one myself, yes.
And is the MDS a source of information that is normally relied upon by people in your field to get the information about the chemical composition of, household or manufactured products?
Well, actually, before we use any chemical in a national laboratory, we actually must consult a material safety data sheet to look at possible interactions with other chemicals, hazards associated with it, safety precautions, things of that nature.
Did either of those chemicals, either Blue Star or Febreze, contain chloroform?
No.
Now, you were talking about the paper towels and the volatile fatty acids that were found in the paper towels. You indicated that it was possible that that could have come from meat. Give us a scenario that could have, using meat, that would have caused what you found in those paper towels.
That's not going to be easy. The meat, again, will have to be raw. It'll have to be uncooked. It'd have to have a high percentage of fat associated with it. It could not be from like butter fat or milk. It'd have to be from like a mammal of some sort. It'd have to be of sufficient size to create the stain that was found in the trunk of the car.
Judge testifying outside the scope and
Overruled.
Go ahead.
I forgot what I already mentioned. It'd have to probably be decomposing in an anaerobic type of environment. The temperature would have to be correct, the pH would have to be correct, and it'd have to be loaded with certain types of bacteria. These bacteria are normally found within the human body.
So you would have to have a couple of pounds of hamburger wrapped up in a bag and somehow sealed, left in the trunk of a car to rot, and it would have to have bacteria normally found in the human body in it. Do I have that right?
If the hamburger meat was raw and it had a very high fat content, that would probably may cause it, yes.
So we're not talking about somebody eating a hamburger and then
bleeding.
Overruled.
could it be caused by somebody eating a hamburger and wiping their face?
No.
Did you see any evidence in what you've seen of any pieces of hamburger on anything you looked at?
No.
The council asked you about the Stathopopolis study. I think that's how it's pronounced, Stathopopolis. Did he find, and again, you said his study was of was a one-time examination of a body or two. Is that correct?
I believe it was two bodies.
Two bodies.
They were floating in the Mediterranean Sea or some such thing.
Okay, people who were floating in the water, picked up, and then they looked, but they only looked one time, not over 4 years like you did.
Correct.
Now, did the compounds that he found, were they among the 478 that you had found, or did he found additional ones? Or do you recall?
I don't recall. I know there was quite a bit of overlap, but I can't recall. He had 80 compounds. I just don't recall that. But I
Okay.
remember there was a significant overlap.
The positive control you used, again, describe for the jury what that was, how you got it, why you got it, and what you did with it.
Since we had never studied a child or a person or a human decomposing in the trunk of a car before, we looked around for a positive control, a control being a person that's decomposing in the trunk of a car. Obviously, an adult may not have been a very good comparison. It's unfortunate, but we were able to find another such case in Montana where a child of approximately 3 years of age had died and was wrapped in a blanket and left in the trunk of the car for 3 months. Granted, the time frame was much longer than what we saw here, but the point of that positive control was to confirm that compounds such as we saw in the Florida trunk that were consistent with human decomposition could be formed in that type of an environment.
And how did the test on the carpet in this case compare to the positive control sample from the Montana case?
If you look at those 5 compounds, 4 of those were present.
And the only one that wasn't was chloroform.
Correct.
And that was the substance that was in such large abundance in your study, is that correct?
Sustain is the last question.
Is chloroform the substance you talked about earlier in your testimony?
Correct.
Now, the absence of fluorinated compounds, did you test the Montana carpet, the Montana blanket, where a 3-year-old had decomposed for those compounds?
We didn't test specifically for them, but if they had been present, we would have been able to identify them.
And were they present?
No, they were not.
And do you have an opinion as to why those fluorinated compounds would not be present in that control case and in the case here?
Objection, Judge. Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
Adults that we've studied over the years produce a number of fluorinated compounds. These are compounds that have fluorine in them. It is assumed that the fluorine is...
To the witness assuming things, and it calls for speculation, and we move to strike.
Overruled.
Go ahead, sir.
It is assumed that these fluorinated compounds accumulate in the human body by a process called bioaccumulation. It's like if you eat lead paint chips. You eat one little piece of paint chip that has lead in it, you get a little bit of lead in your body, but you start eating a whole bunch of paint chips and you get a whole bunch of lead. And that may not be a great example, but nevertheless. So over time, what you do is if you drink fluorinated water over your lifetime, and a lot of water in the United States has been fluorinated, you will bioaccumulate fluorine in your bone and tissue. When you die and decompose, these bacteria and microbes convert those fluorinated material, the fluorine material, into fluorinated compounds. Now, if you go to countries that do not fluorinate their water, like Brussels, for instance, the people you see in those type of environments that have not spent a lifetime ingesting fluorinated compounds, you don't see these fluorinated compounds in the water. Now, in the body, in the decomposing odor. Now, in a small child, it is assumed that the child, maybe they drink water, but enough time has not passed to ingest enough fluorine to begin bioaccumulating it to the level that the instrument can detect. And that seems to hold true for both the positive control from Montana as well as the samples from the Florida trunk.
And that coincides with the studies of adults in countries that don't fluorinate their water, and you don't find that in the odor. Is that what you said?
Overruled.
Correct. Yes.
No further questions.
Dr. Vass, you actually addressed this issue with the fluoride in your report, did you not?
I believe I did, yes.
And you have made it clear that this has not been studied.
Not in children, no.
That the fact that there was not any fluoride there has not been studied at all.
Not in children, no.
But you're willing to come to this jury under oath and testify that the reason you didn't find fluoride was because she's a child and didn't have enough time to drink enough water.
Objection argumentative of what he's willing to do.
Overruled. He can answer the question if he can.
Can you please repeat it one more time? I'm sorry.
You're willing to come in front of this jury and give them information as an expert witness to facts that have not been studied at all?
Bioaccumulation is a well-known phenomenon in the animal kingdom, for instance, even in plants. Yes, it is my opinion that that is what has happened.
It's your opinion on something that has never been studied.
Well, fortunately, we don't get a lot of children.
My question, sir, is it's an opinion that's based on something that has never been studied.
It is an opinion based on something that has not been studied, but founded in a well-known phenomenon called bioaccumulation.
Now, you talked about and you testified to this jury about the stain, the paper towels.
Yes.
Now, these paper towels were found in the trash bag,
I believe that's what I was told, yes.
and you have no evidence, because, well, let me rephrase that. Sir, you have no information that paper towel and that stain have anything to do with one another.
I don't know if that's actually completely true. I mean, the reason we even did that is because Dr. Haskell, an entomologist, identified...
Sir, do not testify about another individual.
Objection, Mr. Vass.
Yes, sir.
Asked
He
a
was
question.
about-
You asked him a question, you get the answer. Go ahead.
I forget what it was, but Dr. Neil Haskell sent me those paper towels. On those paper towels, he identified fly pupil casings. He was curious as to
Judge,
why...
I'm going to object to this commentary specifically way outside of... Yes, I'll withdraw the question.
Okay, thank you.
You have no idea and no firsthand knowledge that those paper towels have anything to do with that stain, do you, sir?
Objection, compound question. One is an idea and the other is firsthand.
I'll rephrase. You
Sustained.
have no firsthand knowledge that those paper towels have anything to do with that stain, do you, sir?
I do not know.
But that's still something you're willing to tell this jury.
If it's found in conjunction as evidence in the trunk of the car, I don't see why it's not relevant.
And you have no idea as to the chemical, as to what would have to occur for these acids, these fatty acids that could be found in meat, and how they would end up on that paper towel.
Well, again, something attracted the flies to the paper towels. And,
My question to you, sir, is you have no idea the circumstances of how, whether that was used to clean up any meat after cooking or anything like that, or to clean up a counter.
there was no meat residue on the paper towels we extracted.
But there were fatty acids that would be consistent with meat. Wouldn't that be correct, sir?
Consistent with the breakdown of adipose tissue.
Which is also found in meat.
Fat is found in meat.
Yes. Now, the marijuana, was that found outside?
Seize the scope.
Sustained.
Judge, I believe counsel
Sustained.
during cross-examination addressed these paper towels.
Sustained.
No further questions.
May the doctor be excused.
He may step down. There is an issue that we need to address
Okay, you may stand down, doctor.
outside the presence of the jury. We're ready to do the right part.
Okay. Juror, if you want to stand and take a stretch break, or do you need to go back in the room for a minute?
We may want to approach on scheduling.
Go to the
Know
sidebar.
what our
We'll
plan is
begin.
from this point.
Members of the jury, you may stand and stretch if you would like. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the next witness is going to be a rather lengthy witness that will take more than 25 minutes. Rather than to start and stop the testimony, we're just going to break for the day and start afresh in the morning. I'm going to ask that you not discuss the case among yourselves. Please remember all of my other previous admonition before the jury. Did y'all approach? I don't need the court reporter. Just one question. The new list of movies that was submitted have been approved. So, Madam Court Deputy, relay that. Okay, see you in the morning. You may be seated.
Dr. Vass is appearing here today pursuant to an interstate subpoena, pursuant to Chapter 942. The defense has served him with a subpoena attempting to compel him to produce his database and other information. That is in violation of Florida Statute 942.04, which exempts anyone who appears pursuant to an interstate subpoena from service of process. The state would move to quash the subpoena.
Defense? You may.
Early withdraw the subpoena.
Okay.
He obviously is, unless released by the court, he is still under the subpoena originally issued, and I don't know if we can discuss whether defense wants him to remain under subpoena for possible recall. I would like him to be able to return at his leisure to his home.
We would probably call Dr. Vass in our case in chief and would, excuse me,
Pardon? I can't hear you.
I apologize. I said we would probably call Dr. Vass in our case in chief and ask that he be subject to recall.
And I will inform you he's still under the subpoena, but he may return to his home, and counsel will make arrangements for him to reappear if that's what they desire.
Okay.
We would do that through the JAC, yes.
Yes.
I will so advise it.
Okay. Anything else?
On behalf of the state of Florida.
Defense? Okay, we'll be in recess to